So I had a question about how does the bridge trust flow? What is the flow and what are the tax implications when you trigger the trust? So to remind everybody, the bridge trust is a domestic grantor trust, which means it is disregarded for tax purposes. As a domestic trust, it does not need to file Form 3520 or 3520A. There's no foreign trust compliance when it's currently in its bridged form, meaning its U.S. initial starting point form. So it is a grantor trust, which means it is disregarded for tax purposes, just like a revocable living trust, which is also a grantor trust. Now, once we have an event of duress and the protector declares the event of duress and makes the determination that it's time to trigger the trust, move the assets and the control of the trust offshore, the trust will become a foreign trust because it will not meet the two-part test under 7701, and it will be a foreign trust because it will have foreign control, and we are going to give up the U.S. jurisdiction altogether. At that point, it's a foreign trust. It will need to file Form 3520 and 3520A, which is the foreign trust compliance form, but those carry no tax with them. There's no tax consequence to filing those forms. They're just informational. But it still remains a grantor trust. So all income or loss is going to pass through to the grantor, which is the clients. It remains the clients, and therefore no complications from a tax standpoint. The trust will have an EIN number. It will file a 1041 informational trust tax return with the grantor trust letter, meaning, hey IRS, there is a trust here. It's a grantor trust. All the income and loss will be picked up on the grantor or the settler's personal return. So that's how it works. It's very straightforward, it's very simple, and it doesn't matter whether the trust is domestic or foreign, it remains a grantor trust from a tax perspective. Now, what happens if we bring the trust back and it's no longer foreign? It's still a grantor trust. There's still no change in the way that the taxation works. Now, it would simply not have the foreign component, would not be required to file the 3520 or 3520A, and would not have a foreign trustee in control of the trust. So that's it. Now, what happens when the client dies? Bridge trust is designed to pass through or pour over into the estate plan, which is most commonly a revocable living trust. So when it pours over into the estate plan, what we have is a direct pour of a grantor trust into a grantor trust, so there's zero tax consequence to that. And there's just the normal filing of the estate tax. If there's a 706 required, you're going to file the 706. If there is an estate tax issue, of course, you're going to pay the estate tax, etc. But having the bridge trust in place is not going to change, increase, or decrease. The other question I get is, well, will the assets of the bridge trust get a step up in basis? And the answer is yes, they will, because it's a grantor trust. So just like a revocable living trust. So if you're asking the question, well, how does the bridge trust get treated? And you understand revocable living trust, then you already understand the bridge trust because it's the same. It's a grantor trust. So it is very simple, very easy. It is designed that way on purpose. We are not making it a completed gift. Now, one of the things that people get confused about is they say, but it's an irrevocable trust. How can you have an irrevocable trust that is still included in the estate? Because it is not a completed gift. The clients, the grantors, retain incidents of ownership enough to make it includable in the estate, including, in some cases, the power of the trustee itself. Certainly the power to change assets, to replace and switch assets, which of course qualifies it as a grantor trust. That's all on purpose. We want it as a grantor trust. Now, if you say, hey, Doug, I have a client and I want them to be able to actually get these assets out of the estate, can that be done with the bridge trust? Well, the answer is yes. We would have to either decant or partition that trust in such a way that we're completing the gift. The most common way to do it is just to decant into another trust for one of the beneficiaries of the bridge trust, but make it a non-grantor trust or a beneficiary defective grantor trust, meaning the beneficiary would be considered the grantor, but then it could be a completed gift outside of the grantor's estate. So that's the basics 101 of taxation of the bridge trust. I hope that answers the questions that I got from some of my affiliate attorneys and any of those of you out there watching. I hope this was helpful. Remember, it's your money.